Slow robot, okay. Welcome everyone. Hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving.
All right, turn that off. So, another Combinator today. This is the Phase Smasher, which is an interesting combinator of a couple of pulverizers and some weird routing. And you can do a lot of weird stuff with this, and you can do some subtle stuff with this. So I'm going to kind of break this into a few different parts here. I'm going to start out just showing some of the different patches and sounds you can get. And then I'll go into the controls, and then I'm going to kind of tweak some of these sounds, and then we will go into kind of what's happening under the hood kind of deal. So let's start out with a Rhodes piano. So this is a song that I did. You're not going to hear the whole all of the instrumentation, but this is a song that I released on my album, and it had a lot of different instrumentation that I wanted to try the Phase Smasher out on. So I just kind of used this. It was a good template for that. So so we have a Rhodes piano here, and this is the I think there's a drum part in here at the same time, so I may have to mute that. Yep. Okay, so let's mute this, or unsolo, I should say. All right, so you can hear the Rhodes solo, and I turned off all of the send effects at this point, so you can hear kind of stuff without all the reverbs and delays and stuff that I already have on the track. So this is bypass the Phase Smasher, and I'll turn it on. So you can hear I just have a kind of a filter on it that's doing this kind of interesting back and forth kind of deal. So that's one, and then let's go to our drums. Let's mute this unsolo. Actually, no, we're going to leave that on. We're going to leave that on, and we're going to listen to the drums. So again, this is a simple drum part, and this is bypassed. And then we'll turn it on. You can hear some dirt, a little bit of comb filtering going on there. Gives it a little bit of space to it. It's kind of neat. Let's check out these outro guitars, and I just have to find the spot here. Right about here. Okay, so this is bypassed, obviously. Let's turn it on. Oh, actually, this isn't what I want to do. I want to do this because I have this. Oops, let's get back there, and let's do this. We want to turn on the outro guitars. We want to turn on this. So I have it as a send effects in this case. Obviously, very crazy kind of sound here. Oops. This one's bypassed, and this is the one where you're actually hearing. Okay, and then the last kind of example thing I have here is this. It's on a vocal part. Where did I go here? All right, and then this guy is soloed. Again, we have it bypassed. Here at the end of all things we know. Put that on. So it's got kind of a sample and hold filter thing going on, kind of special effect kind of deal. So you can hear that there's like a pretty wide variety of different sounds that you can get with this. So I guess what I'll do now is I'll kind of go through the controls. So let me figure out which one of these I want to start with. So let's start with the drums, I guess, and let's come in here. Okay, so again, bypass on. So we'll start kind of from left to right. Again, this is all based on a couple of pulverizers that are in here, and we'll kind of show how that works later on. But the controls are basically mapped from a pulverizer, and we have the tremor section. I'll pull in a pulverizer so you can see. Just let's not hook it up. Just put it in there. So you've got the tremor form, which is basically your waveform here. You have wave lag, which is this. So you do have this is basically sending modulation to the filter, and the filter's always on. There's two different types of filters, but they're always on here. And I'll go into that in a minute, but right now let's stick with the tremor here. So we've got the tremor waveform slider and wave lag, just to kind of trim off those harsh edges. So if you have like a square waveform or the sample and hold, sometimes you can get clicks and pops because it's transitioning so like instantaneously, and the lag just helps round that off and makes it sound a little bit smoother. So that's what this does. Sync tremor, so again, that's just going to be this button here, just to sync to the project tempo. Your tremor rate just maps directly to the rate knob. Envelope tremor basically just turns this on, sends some of the follower into the tremor, so that your tremor rate is being modulated by your the input level. So that's kind of fun and handy for some weird effects. I said sync. Yep. So we got the sync, and then this it floats around control is really just sending the tremor to the filter. So it's modulating the filter by it's basically controlling this, and it goes both ways. So plus and minus for negative waveform times and all that fun stuff. So pretty straightforward here. The interesting stuff, some more interesting stuff starts happening in the filter and dirt sections here. So we have a filter frequency, which is basically just controlling this. But we also have a filter offset, and what this does, so there's actually two pulverizers in the combinator, and they both, if you have the filter offset all the way down, they both have the same setting. And then if you raise this up, they have separate settings. So it's basically adding to the level of the frequency here. So for on one of them, so if you have the frequency set at 52 here, say it pulls in at 442, and then here, if you have the filter offset all the way down, the second one would also have the same filter frequency, but if you push this up, this might be going up to like 600 or 800 or something like that. So it's just creating a difference in the filter frequency. The resolution is basically this peak knob, and it is a 1-to-1 map for both of the pulverizers, so they always match, and it's capped out at I think like 80% or something, so you're not getting the kind of resonance that is self-oscillating that you can get with a pulverizer if you crank it too high. So it's kind of capped out there. and then we have two other options for the filter. So we have the filter first, and that just controls the whether it's the filter is before the squash in the dirt or after. And that again controls both of the pulverizers same way. And then the type is it's basically taking your filter section here and choosing between the low pass 24 and the comb filter. So there's only two options here. I thought those two sounded the most interesting, so that's what I kind of went with this. And then we have an AB, which is really just kind of like a blend control between the two different pulverizers. So again, some of these settings are going to be different from one pulverizer to the next, and this lets you kind of tweak how much of which one you want. So that's what that does. And then there's a gain knob and a bypass limiter button. And the reason that there's a limiter in here is just because there's a phase this whole thing is based on phase cancellation. So you can have basically almost no output and then make a small tweak, and then all of a sudden the volume jumps. So this is just a limiter. I added a limiter just to make sure that we're not ever going so loud that it's gonna like blow your speakers or anything. And this is just if you at your discretion, if you think you want to bypass that. And so that's why the gain and the bypass limiter are sort of in the same spot, because you can boost this this as up to 30 decibels of boost here, because again, we're canceling signal, so we need a lot of boost sometimes. We may need a lot of boost sometimes, so you don't want to add 20 decibels of gain and then make a tweak that's gonna just like launch the volume into the stratosphere and then blow out your speakers. So that's what the bypass, or that's what the limiter's for. And you can bypass it if you want, but that I just would recommend leaving that on unless you absolutely need to. So those are the controls. And I'll kind of just mess around with it with the drums here for a minute. Let's make sure we get our actually I'm gonna set this to basically 0. So I'm gonna get rid of this pulverizer first. Let's delete this. So right now we shouldn't hear really too much going on in the drums. Let me mute this Rode, or unsolo the Rhodes, and we can listen to this. So you can hear there's very little signal coming here. And that's again because we're filtering, or we're phase canceling one of the pulverizers. And right with these settings, the way that they are right now, they're very basically the two pulverizers have the exact same settings, but one the phase is flipped on one of them. So that's why it cancels almost out completely. And so if we bypass that, you can hear it's much louder. And if we flip the type, it'll probably actually get even quieter. Yeah, it's almost silent. So okay, so the way that this works in terms of frequencies and these offsets and everything. So again, we have two different pulverizers, and the way that we set them differently is using these offsets. So if you hear this, we turn this up. So you're opening up, you're raising the frequency of the second pulverizer, and that's creating a difference in the two devices. So you're only hearing the canceled portion, or you're only hearing the non-canceled portions of the signal, and in this case that would be the frequencies between this frequency and the capped frequency in the filter off with the filtered offset. So you can end up with some interesting kind of like curves that you couldn't get with just using a normal like bandpass filter or something. But basically, so if we do this, we just play this a little bit, we can narrow the band here. So again, it's kind of like acting like a bandpass, but with a strange kind of curve to it. So the narrower it gets, obviously, the narrower the lower value you have here, the narrower the band. And again, you got the resonance, and again, the resonance is controlling both filters, or the resonance of both filters simultaneously. So you're getting that resonant bump at the low frequency and the higher frequency that you're adding with a filter offset here. So that adds some additional kind of weirdness to the resulting curve that's coming out. And obviously, if you pull this down, you're just filtering out almost all of the upper end. So if you raise this up, get a little bit more. See, we've actually managed to pull out almost all of the cymbals and just have this like dark little kick drum thing happening here. So that's kind of neat. And then so let's try messing around with the dirt here. So right now we have some dirt, and the dirt is going to add to, if you have your filter on, if you have your filter, like if there's an offset here and you start adding dirt, you're going to hear it even if you have the dirt offset all the way down. So you can hear it. I guess that means there are some non-linearities in the drive, maybe. I'm not really sure, but it sounds cool. So, and then you know, this just does this. This essentially does the same thing. It's just adding more of the dirt to the second pulverizer. So you're getting slightly different settings on your dirt settings for both pulverizers, which again, you're hearing the stuff that's not phase canceled, only the stuff that's not phase canceled. And one thing that is, because of how this is working, you're actually kind of hearing almost all of the distortion and none of the underlying signal, which is interesting. So what happens is it actually adds more dirt than you would get if you were just listening to one, running this through one pulverizer with the same settings. It's just louder here, it's not really more distorted. And again, so you can use this A/B slider to go between the two if you want to tweak like this. Maybe you like this sound a little bit better. And okay, so let's put this back again, and I'll just kind of show you why the bypass limiter is important. So let's just do this. So again, it's off. There's some signal coming through here. I want to boost that all the way. Now if I put this bypass limiter off, or actually if I do this, you see it gets, it's only up to 4, and it's already like super loud compared to what it was. And that's pushing the limiter here. So that's just basically making sure that that's not going to, you know, blow out your speakers or anything. So that's what that's for. And then the Tremor section I think is pretty interesting too. So if the way that this works is slightly different than the frequencies, because these controls are mostly only controlling one of the pulverizers. So what's happening is you're getting one pulverizer that's modulating the frequency, and the other pulverizer is not. So you're going to get, if you turn this on, basically if you move this anywhere other than, you know, 64, you're gonna start to hear signal. So again, not on, and then as soon as you move this, you start to hear stuff. And you can get obviously some really strange and interesting things going on here. Let's see if I can get so again, you hear the frequency, even though the frequency, like normally the frequency, it doesn't matter what position you have this in so much, you're going to hear very little, but as soon as you add this frequency basically becomes relevant again. So you can get some stuff where it's kind of sweeping around your head almost, which that's one of my favorite things to do with this. And then again, we have the two different types of filter. We've got, right now it's on the low pass, or the low pass, and then we have the comb filter when this is ticked. And then you get the weird phasey stuff just like that. But again, you're not going to get this same kind of sound just using one pulverizer. See, this is one part of the signal, and this is the other. And they sound kind of similar. Sound related, but then you put them together and you get this totally different thing that you just can't get through using one device alone. That's the phase stuff is really what's doing that. And then so let's play around with the resolution and some of this other stuff here. That's pretty cool. I mean, they're cool on their own, but I think together, it's just a cool sound. And then if we take this filter first back off, just some really interesting stuff you can get with this. So that's that. And then let's I guess lastly I'll kind of show the actual devices. So and what's going on here. So let's pull this up, and you're gonna need, what you're gonna need here is a gain, kilohertz gain, which is a free, should be free, I think, rack extension. The Groovy Melon Morphin XF is, I believe, also free. I will put that in the in the description. And same thing with the CV2 meter and the Janitor CV Shaper. I believe those are all free. So it does require some third-party stuff, but it should all be free stuff. So that's shouldn't cost you anything to actually start using this, as long as you have Reason 12. So what it's doing. So again, just to kind of show the filter frequency. So let me minimize some of this stuff here so you can see this. So the filter frequency here, you can see they have different values based on this filter offset, but they're moving as one. And that's what this CV2 meter is helping me do, and some CV stuff that I've got going on in here. But yeah, so this controls that, and then again, you pull this all the way down, and they have the same value, 50.9, and that's why it mostly nulls at that point. And then, they're no longer matching, so you start to hear some signal. Resolution, the peak, just a 1-to-1 mapping to both pulverizers. Our type is again going to switch between the low pass 24 and the comb. And then filter first, again, just switches that. And AB, so AB, this is basically another crossfader here that is this is doing the actual crossfading. The other ones that I have here are, this one flips the signal, the polarity of one, and then this one's just for kind of consistency to have both devices in each chain. Again, tremor rate is going to control this guy here. Your envelope tremor is just going to set this to, what is it, 52%. So that's just a hard number that I just chose because I thought it sounded all right. Envelope threshold is going to control this thing. And again, we're only doing, most of this stuff is only in the tremor section here is only going to be applicable to one of the pulverizers. So the threshold is changing there. And then again, the threshold's only going to be relevant if you have this envelope tremor on. Tremor rate, we already went through. The waveform, so the tremor form, that's this again. So you can see it flipping through. It does control both. I don't know why I did that, but it's controlling both. And then wave lag, so again, that's just this right here. Sync, obviously that. This is always on. The tremor spread is always on for one of them and always off for the other, and that's how it that's how you get that kind of extra spatial thing going on that you've heard in some of the patches. And then this guy is again just our, sending whatever amount we want of the tremor into the filter. So that's what that does. And yep, again, the maximizer. So this is just turning the bypass on and off here. And gain is just a 1-to-1 here. So you can cut the volume as well up to 30 dB. I just generally don't need to, so leave that there. But yeah, this is the phase smasher. I think it's a really interesting effect combinator. You can do so many different things with it, and you can come up with some really super weird stuff and just some super subtle stuff, and it's really fun to play around with. I've been playing with it for the past like 3 days, and it's just like I sit down and I'm like, well, what is this gonna do? And I kind of have a sense of where I'm going now, but it still surprises me, like not in a not in a totally random way like some devices. You can It's very difficult to even know what is going to happen when you tweak a control. I think you can get to learn this one a little bit and understand it. So it's predictable ish, but it does have an element of just like, well, what the heck is that? I wasn't expecting that. So it's really cool. I hope some of you enjoy it, and that's it. Take care.